Joplin school officials talk about funding for the new Dover Hill Elementary. Also, we hear from a local doctor about what he's learned so far during this pandemic. And a sweeping plan by Democrats to expand voting rights gets a vote in the Senate.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A sweeping plan by Democrats to expand voting rights failed in the Senate today, with lawmakers splitting along party lines. Republicans argued the bill federalizes elections which states run. Skylar Henry reports from Capitol Hill.
The motion is not agreed to.
Senate Democrats called a key test vote on a bill to expand voting rights, even though they knew it would fail.
Republican senators may have prevented us from having a debate on voting rights today. But I want to be very clear about one thing. The fight to protect voting rights is not over.
Among other things, the For the People Act would have created a national automatic system for registering voters and established national standards for mail-in and absentee ballots. But Republicans were unified against it.
This is not a federal issue. It ought to be left to the states. There's nothing broken around the country.
People are turning out to vote in record numbers. This is a solution in search of a problem.
Vice President Harris presided over Tuesday's vote.
The issue here is there actual access to the voting process, or is that being impeded?
West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin, who previously expressed opposition to the bill, voted yes to open the debate.
House Democrats passed the legislation back in March to combat new restrictive voting laws being enacted in Republican-controlled states.
What these guys are doing right now is they're saying, how can we change our voters? How can we make it harder for people to vote that voted and were willing to risk their lives in the middle of a pandemic to vote?
There is no effort in any state in America to suppress votes.
Voting rights has been a key legislative issue for President Biden, who expressed support for the People Act.
What the president and what the vice president will do is engage with voting rights groups and continue to fight to get legislation across the finish line on the federal level. So this fight is not over.
The White House says the president hopes Democrats remain unified in finding a path forward. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said yesterday that the failure to begin debate on the voting rights bill in the Senate could prompt a new debate among lawmakers about whether there needs to be changes in the filibuster rule in the Senate. Another gorgeous day across the area. Nick Kelly, is it going to stick around?
We can try this again for tomorrow, Chris, before we see a quick return of the typical summer heat and humidity. But today was quite a nice day and almost record-breaking worthy. 53 was the low this morning, tying the record set back in 92, but we catapulted into the mid-80s for this afternoon with low humidity. Just a pretty good day all around. Nothing on the radar here. We're sitting underneath mostly clear skies. Quick jog to the north, though, does show some thunderstorms trying to come across Lincoln, Grand Island, and Nebraska, and additional storms working across Iowa. I don't think those make it here, so we're not going to worry about those as we go through the course of the overnight. As far as temperatures go, we're in the upper 60s to lower 70s right now, and going into your Wednesday, not so chilly from the morning this time around the start. We'll have lows dropping back to 62, but even with a little bit of cloud cover, that south wind creates into gear and will send highs as a result back into the mid 80s, and we'll see how high the thermometer will go before our next storm system rolls in here in a bit, Chris.
All right, Nick, thank you. The Joplin School Board met tonight to approve the budget for the next fiscal year. The budget includes about $121 million in expenses and $91.9 million in revenue. Now, the biggest increase in expenditures are the bonds for the new Dover Hill Elementary and the additions at Kelsey Norman. Now, $26.4 million was approved by voters for the school projects, but only about $2 million of that was spent within the last fiscal year. Missouri officials are urging people to take steps to prevent drownings as the arrival of hot weather and the easing of the COVID-19 pandemic means bigger crowds at Missouri waterways. At least 10 people have drowned so far this month in Missouri, and 6 others died in boating accidents. None of the 16 victims wore a life jacket. Now, across Missouri, at least 39 people have either drowned or died in boating accidents so far this year, including at least 7 children. And we now know the name of the 11-year-old boy who is in the hospital after being seriously injured on the Branson coaster. He's Alondo Perry from Tennessee. Now, the incident happened Sunday. Branson fire officials responded to a call at the Branson coaster on the 76th Strip. Alondo was trapped under the coaster, and Alondo's grandmother, Shalandra Ford, says Alondo is blind in his right eye and 15% blind in his left. Now, we have no official word on the cause of the accident, but Ford says he thought the ride had ended when it stopped on the tracks and he stood up, and then the ride started back up, knocking him down. Members of the White House negotiating team headed to Capitol Hill today to meet with senators on their bipartisan infrastructure proposal. More than 20 senators now backing the $1.2 trillion proposal. The White House says the president is encouraged by the talks, but the two sides are still at odds over how to pay for the plan. Democrats are also working on the possibility of using budget reconciliation to pass a plan. An Oklahoma inmate is back in custody after he was accidentally released nearly 2 months ago from the Oklahoma County Detention Center. The jail officials say they're still unsure what went wrong, but they're now working to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. Administrators with the detention center were first alerted Friday that 37-year-old Raimundo Cuevas was accidentally released. Jail officials say they acted immediately and notified local authorities that have fugitive task forces. The jail also put out a fugitive warrant for his arrest. The search didn't take long. Officials say Sunday afternoon, Cuevas turned himself in after learning he was being looked for. Jail officials are now looking into what caused this issue. They say they started a new database program at the time of Cuevas' release, and that may have been part of the problem. Police are looking for video evidence after a shooting that left 3 people dead and 4 others injured in St. Louis. 2 victims were found dead outside of a convenience store Monday night. A third person apparently collapsed in a nearby schoolyard. Police describe those 3 victims as adult men in their 30s. There's no word yet on the condition of the injured victims. The motive is still unclear. Officers have been canvassing the city's Ville neighborhood for video evidence of the incident. The shooting comes on the heels of another violent weekend in the nation. According to the Gun Violence Project, the U.S. saw 10 mass shootings between Friday and Sunday, which left at least 7 people dead and 45 others injured. We have a check of the forecast a little bit later. Next, a doctor talks about the lessons he's learned throughout the pandemic and a missed milestone for the Biden administration as the U.S. will not meet the president's vaccination goal. Accurate information to the community about COVID-19. Now, Dr. Rob McNabb at Freeman spoke with older adults who are part of Freeman Advantage about what he's learned about COVID-19. He spoke about how the virus spreads, what it does to the body, how new information has led to evolving treatments, and a lot more. He says it's an effort to cut through the noise when information, good and bad, is accessible at your fingertip. Freeman Advantage is a wellness program for older adults who are 50 and older. Fewer people are getting vaccinated for COVID-19, and that's fueling concerns about a possible resurgence of the disease. Danya Bacchus has the latest on the fight against the coronavirus.
The White House says the U.S. will fall short of President Biden's goal of having 70% of adults vaccinated by Independence Day.
We don't see it exactly like something went wrong. How we see it is we set a bold, ambitious goal. We are expected to meet that goal just a couple weeks after July 4th.
Aides downplayed the significance of missing the target, but acknowledged a need to get more people immunized, particularly those under the age of 30.
The reality is many younger Americans have felt like COVID-19 is not something that impacts them, and they've been less eager to get the shot.
79% of Americans 50 and up have gotten at least 1 dose of COVID vaccine. That rate falls to 47% among those aged 18 to 24.
Nearly every death due to COVID-19 is particularly tragic because nearly every death, especially among adults due to COVID-19, is at this point entirely preventable.
The declining vaccination rate has coincided with the rise of a new coronavirus strain that's thought to be more contagious.
The Delta variant is currently the greatest threat in the U.S. to our attempt to eliminate COVID-19.
Experts say the variant is responsible for more than 20% of all new infections. That's double what it was just a week ago. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
COVID has claimed more than 602,000 lives in the U.S. so far, more than 2,000 of them in the past week. U.S. researchers have found household birthday parties increased moderate to severe COVID-19 cases 31% last year in counties with high COVID transmission rates. In many cases, a COVID diagnosis came about 2 weeks after a party. The study published in JAMA tracked health records from 2.9 million U.S. households. Adults who were obese as children have an increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes and suffering a heart attack in their 30s and 40s, regardless of their weight as adults. That's according to a new study published by the American College of Cardiology. Researchers say obesity early in life contributes to insulin resistance and the buildup of arterial plaque later in life. Australian researchers say older adults who take statins to reduce their bad cholesterol do not need to worry about the drugs leading to dementia or Alzheimer's disease. The study contradicts an FDA warning in 2012 that statin use was linked to short-term cognitive impairment. And today is the last day of Amazon's summer sale, but the Prime Day discounts may not be as deep as you hope. According to research from Adobe Analytics, discounts being offered this year are below 10% on average. Compare that to Cyber Monday, which traditionally offers deals with double the savings. Now, how much would it take for you to quit social media? Well, according to a new survey from Reboot Foundation, 1 in 5 respondents would require $1 million to say sayonara to social media. Now, 40% would give up cars, TVs, and pets before logging off their preferred platform, and 70% of social media users would not drop their accounts for less than $10,000. But coming up, Pittsburgh Post 64 takes on Moran. We'll have those highlights in sports.
But first, we can squeeze in one more nice warm day tomorrow before a quick return of summer heat and humidity. Forecast it next. Warm June day, that is certainly for sure, but a rarity for late June. Low humidity. That meant not only did it feel nice to be out and about today, but it looked nice from start to finish. Case in point, the beautiful time-lapse from Indigo Sky Casino Resort just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Wish we could stay and look at it for the next few minutes, but we must press on because the numbers certainly were interesting. We actually tied the record low of 53, set back in 92 this morning, and then we catapulted to 84 this afternoon. A little bit below normal, our normal high being 88 degrees. Our normal high stays at 88 tomorrow, and we're just going to edge a little bit closer to that tomorrow. A little more heat, but it's not looking bad tomorrow with highs pushing back into the mid-80s. Then we'll have to deal with a brief return of summer heat and humidity before the weekend gets going. At least we're looking okay right now from 7th and Rangeline. Mostly clear up top, 69 at the airport and downtown with the south-southeasterly breeze at 7. But the dew point, it is still in the mid-50s, not just in Joplin, but all across the area. That means everyone's cooling off nicely. Upper 60s in southwestern Missouri to more lower 70s across southeast Kansas and our corner of Oklahoma. And then the dew points themselves, everyone's seeing numbers in the mid-50s. We have to practically beg for numbers like these late in the month of June. So anytime we can go through a late June day or June evening with dew points feeling pleasant, we will certainly take it before some of that humidity has to work back in. Thankfully, the dry air in place is resulting in nothing, really. Mostly clear skies here. However, there is a weak frontal boundary draped across Nebraska and Iowa. It has sparked some scattered strong to severe storms, but as they try to work south, they're pretty much falling apart. So I'm not worried about those storms working here. Two features at the surface I am watching, though. This warm front to the south is going to edge closer to us to allow temperatures to warm up. And you see that front up in Canada? That is our weekend storm system. That'll be a better shot for rain to start rolling our way. Before we get to how we go out throughout the forecast, the jet stream level, this upper ridge is going to try and build back in over the next few days. That will also help aid in temperatures warming up over the next few days. In the short term, though, any of those thunderstorms across Nebraska and Iowa stay well away from us, so we'll keep things quiet, mostly clear, and at least a little bit chilly. We'll say lower 60s to get your Wednesday morning started. Maybe a little afternoon cloud cover, but we'll keep things quiet once again. But that south breeze will kick into gear after we get past the morning. 62 degrees, that south wind will take us to 80 by noon, and afternoon highs right around 86 degrees. Going into Wednesday night, Thursday morning, there's a slim chance we could see a few thunderstorms try to come our way from out west overnight, but I want to hold on to at least for a few isolated storm chances on Thursday, but that is when we're definitely going to see temperatures back in the lower 90s. And certainly because of this upper ridge building in. Lower to middle 90s for Friday, brief stint in the lower to middle 90s because this upper low is going to push that front out of Canada our way, and you see that resulting in quite a bit of rain chances as we head into the weekend, and thankfully keeping temperatures in check. We'll go from 86 on your Wednesday to 92 Thursday, 78 for a sweltering Friday morning before we top out at 93. But thankfully, Chris, as the rain chances ramp up, we'll see highs back mainly in the lower to middle 80s for the rest of the weekend and into early next week.
Still, you can't say it enough. At least right now for this time of the year, these are not bad temperatures, not bad conditions, because you and I know and everybody at home knows could be a lot worse right now.
Yeah, just go back about 9 years ago. That was a miserable 2012 summer.
Sitting at about 85, 86 right about now. High humidity, unpleasant all around.
No, we'll take these numbers.
Yes, we will. Nick, thank you so much. Well, hey, the city of Pittsburgh is providing a limb drop-off location for residents who suffered some damage during the June 11 storms. You can drop off limbs at the burn site, which is 1.5 miles east of Rouse on Quincy, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. through Friday of this week. Now, if you need those tree limbs picked up, you can submit an application through the See Click Fix app. Missouri Southern's Lion Co-op and Wellness Program receive a grant from the No Kid Hungry campaign. More than $10,000 grant will go towards supplying weekend snack packs to area kids age 1 to 5 who qualify for state or tribal financial assistance. The No Kid Hungry campaign assists in meeting the nutritional needs of children who may not be getting adequate food over the weekend. Well, coming up in sports, the Joplin Outlaws aim to stay in first place in the Mink League South Division. Plus, Pittsburgh Post 64 hits the field for a Legion baseball matchup with Moran. Jacob Leonard, he's got that and more next.
The Joplin Outlaws are back on the field tonight on the road against the Jeff City Renegades. Now, coming into the day, the Outlaws are tied for first place in the Mink League South Division with a 9-7 overall record. Now, Jeff City just one game behind Joplin for the top spot in the South. Tonight's game now final. Outlaws pull away to win it 7-3. Jack O'Brien throws 6 2/3 for Joplin, allowing 1 earned run and striking out 7. American Legion ball, Pittsburgh Post 64 at home against Moran Post 385. Off the bat of Jaron Morrison, this one all the way to the wall. Morrison, not quite faster than Dad though, in there for the triple on the first pitch of the game. Wyatt Ard will bring him home a few minutes later. Through the left side, Morrison comes home. It's 1-0 Moran. After that, though, all Pittsburgh. Trevor Amershek in the bottom of the first. RBI single to right. Post 64 up 5-1 after one. They really put it away in the second. Amershek again going to right. Pittsburgh gets 14 in the second. Amershek drives in 5. Post 64 rolls by Moran in this one, 19-1. Missouri Southern softball hosts a college coaches skills camp today at the Pat Lapierre softball complex. There were about 80 players at camp today. Now, the CCSC is an individual skills-based camp, giving local players a chance to work on all aspects of the game and get feedback from college coaches at different levels, from junior college to Division I. It's also a chance for those coaches to check out potential recruits and a chance for Missouri Southern to show off their stuff.
Local, from far away, there's kids from Missouri, kids from Texas here. Just to get them on our campus and show off our facilities is really big. CCSC does a great job with their camps, and it's just nice to be able to host a good company and have a really good turnout.
We're trying to get as many local prospects out and run them through a bunch of drill work and let them be seen by a lot of different college coaches. We have junior college, Division II, Division I, NAIA. Everybody's out here trying to get back from the off-COVID year that everybody missed out on recruiting.
The Kansas City Royals open up a 3-game series with the New York Yankees tonight. Kansas City just took 2 of 3 from the Red Sox, but they've lost 7 of their last 9 and 12 of their last 15. This one, game 1 of a 10-game road trip for the Royals. Luke Voigt right off the bat for New York. Solo homer to left, his second of the year. The Yankees up 1-0. To the second now. Some defense from Kansas City here. Michael Taylor, nice diving grab off the Brett Gardner hit. At top of the fourth, 2-1 Yankees. Ryan O'Hearn, solo homer, ties the game up at 2. This one, though, now final. Royals top the Yankees 6-5. As for the St. Louis Cardinals, they have an interleague game tonight on the road against the Tigers. That one also final. Cards, though, fall 8-2. Paul Goldschmidt goes 1 for 4 with an RBI. The two teams wrap up their quick 2-game set at 12:10 tomorrow afternoon. And that's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
Time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Private First Class Edgar Walters served in the Army from 1943 to 1946. His hometown, Parsons. And we're proud to recognize Private First Class Edgar Walters, tonight's four-state hero. And a four-state hero has returned home. Sergeant Lloyd Allenbaugh's remains were identified last year after he was reported missing in action in Korea during fighting at the Chosin Reservoir. Sergeant Allenbaugh's remains were flown into the Tulsa airport today and were escorted by members of the Warriors Watch Riders to Ulmer Funeral Home in Carthage.
First off, it's the feeling of honor for the veteran and the families. But for me personally, having spent that number of years in the military, these guys are military.
Law enforcement also joined in on the escort for Sergeant Allenbaugh. Pretty decent temperatures out there. Nick, final check of that forecast.
Yeah, this time around, though, not so chilly. We'll drop back into the lower 60s from the morning ahead. 86 tomorrow, lower to middle 90s Thursday and Friday briefly, but as rain chances ramp up for the weekend, we'll knock highs back into the 80s.
Nick, thank you. Jacob, final check of sports.
Trevor Amershek had a big day for post 64 against Moran in the doubleheader sweep. He had 7 RBIs, went 3 for 5.
Wow, not bad. Guys, thank you so much. That's our time for now, and thanks for making us part of your night.